Hey everyone, it is spectacular to be with you again today. I want to thank those of you who sent messages about the friend I lost last week. Every one of them is a help at getting through a tough patch. I and the family involved really appreciate it, so keep those prayers coming. Let's look at Purdue's next opponent, though. When I took a look at the Michigan Minnesota game on Sunday, I think it was the 22nd, it appeared early on that both teams really tried to spread the court open and played zone defenses primarily. Minnesota took advantage by hitting many jumpers early on in the game. Remember, they couldn't do that against Purdue and took a pretty good 10-point lead there for a while. But with both offenses trying to spread the court out, there were many opportunities for slashers, which Purdue could take advantage of against Michigan, as they did against Minnesota. Watch for Smitty to drive down the side of the lane for some alley-oops, and even Fletch roaming around. So the Wolverines played mostly zone, and that bodes well for the Boilermakers shooters for sure. Now, Minnesota, as they did against Purdue, couldn't score after that as the game went on, and Michigan tied the game up with like a 13-3 run in the last 10 minutes of the first half. So both teams were not playing great. Realistically, again, both teams looked, I'll call it lackluster, and despite spreading the floor, couldn't find ways to score. Even Michigan's point guard, Doug McDaniel, after the game, he said he had told his teammates during an early timeout to wake up because the Wolverines were playing very slow and lackadaisical. As the game went on, I saw that Hunter Dickinson, Michigan's go-to guy, who's going to be covering Zach Edey, or ZD, or as I like to call him, ZD. Okay, Dickinson we know he's a really good player, right? Everybody knows that in the Big Ten. Here's what he did. He tried relentlessly to push people around while ducking his head and using his shoulders banging into some guy's chest. And when he did that, it was his best way to score. Here's how it worked. Well, he either scored because he banged the guy off of his spot, or he got fouled. So it worked fairly well, as he either got that kind of good little touch or he got his free throws, and that he used that tactic the entire game. Now, I cannot see this as something that will work well against a 7'4" behemoth in the middle for Purdue, who plays good defense. Banging will not be a great option against ZD's 290 pounds. So, I could see Dickinson, who does have a pretty good mid-range jumper, using that tactic more often while mixing in the banging when he can. In this Minnesota-Michigan game, though, just like every other Big Ten game I've seen this year, the centers or the guys down low were allowed to push and shove a guy when he was trying to shoot without getting called until they would go up and smack somebody on the wrist, arm, or hand. Okay, that's not really defense. That's mauling somebody. So the shove in the back or the stomach throws off the shot. And Dickinson was allowed to do that continually, but so were his defenders. So they're just not calling it right now. I would like them to tighten that up a little bit. Again, just like every single Big Ten game this year I've seen, that's exactly what they've allowed to happen. Now, hopefully the coaches, though, have picked up on Dickinson's technique on setting picks. Yeah, there really isn't one, as he tends to move on everyone I watched. It was never called, though. So this type of loose play, his other teammates emulated. There weren't any crisp cuts, the passes were loosely thrown, and moving picks were all over the place. Purdue's defense should feast on these things, which seem to be baked into Michigan's DNA. So look for the Wolverines to deploy the hook, hold, and push theory. I've been talking about it all year, with a smothering of ZD if possible, double and triple teaming it if they can. It'll be a good battle down to the wire, and you will want to watch the inside game between ZD and Dickinson. Michigan may try to go one-on-one with that, and I think they'll have more than they really think they can handle. So with ZD and Dickinson going at it, it looks like Flash, also known as Fletch, I'm calling him Flash now, plus Smitty and First are going to have to produce offense while Morton plays great defense. You know, Morton is now being left wide open because of his poor shooting this year. No one fears his shot right now. Now, you know, and we all know, he can hit them. So it would be great to see him start heating up and hitting some open looks heading towards March so they can't double and triple down on ZD as much. And how about this? The deep bench Purdue has. This will also be a factor. Those guys are starters on most teams and can handle the pressure better than any bench in the country, in my humble opinion. Look, for Look for Newman, basically, Jenkins, TKR, and Gillis to shine and make a difference in this one. I'd lean towards Gillis as the one in this game, as he seems to be coming on as to be a big time factor. So, yes, Purdue is ranked number 1 again. And Purdue is number 4 in offense on Ken Pom and number 16 on defense. Plus, team wise, they're like number 5 in the country on Ken Pom. Those are great numbers from a really good team, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't come out with effort. Meanwhile, flip the page to Michigan, and it is a different story. They're 59th in the country in Ken Pom team-wise. They're like 55th offensively and 77th defensively. Those are not scary numbers. But this is a trap game going to Michigan as the number 1 team in the country. They're all like that. Everybody's going to give you their best. The Michigan players' energy should be high, especially early on. So you want to stomp that out if you can. Add their fan base, which should be loud, and it'll be another tough battle, as every Big Ten game is. Michigan won their last game playing tough defense, but still had many lapses. Fast breaks may be something that comes from those mistakes, and Purdue has not had a ton of fast breaks this year. It's generally just a half-court offense. Lastly, don't sleep on this one, gents. Work as hard as you have in every single game this year. Make every cut. Flow through your shots. And remember, defense rules, even outside Mackey. You do those things, and the outcome should be the same as 19 other games this year. That's it for the pregame. I'll hit you up on the postgame come Friday. See you next time.
Shut up and sit down.